Right, hello and welcome to the Thoughts, Feelings and Emotions podcast. Today's special episode. I'm not going to call this episode 2 because technically it is going to just be 100% spoilers for Endgame. And let's get right into that. No basic... this is a warning, so if you haven't seen it, why are you listening to a podcast where the entire header says spoilers in it? If you are listening and you have clicked and for some odd reason didn't see the big 100% spoiler warning, then this is your fault. You are missing the biggest movie of the year. I know people have other jobs and can't see it, but you shouldn't be. If you cared that much, you wouldn't be watching and listening. I know the internet is a hard place to avoid spoilers. Literally, I watched this at 12 a.m. yesterday, and when I woke up afterwards and I got home and I went to sleep and I woke up, literally the second post I saw on Facebook was a spoiler. Literally spoiled the whole entire movie. So as much as I hate that person, I am using that person's notes or spoiler to remember stuff about this movie. So let's get right into it, starting at the very beginning. The first scene, Hawkeye and his family just hanging out, doing some archery. And then the snapping happens. And that generally sets the tone for the movie. Light and cheery, but then takes a sudden dark twist. Let's just state this first. I don't know if I can do a structure, but I just have these as little notes, just so I remember stuff. But this movie is so good. This movie, I've cried at 2 movies previously before this, and that was when I was a child. The first one being Pokemon, the first movie, and the Treasure Planet, the animated one by Disney, which not a lot of people like. Well, not a lot of people saw, so it was kind of a box office bomb, but that movie is really good. But this movie made me cry multiple times during the screening, and I went and saw it again, and I still cried at more spots because I knew the emotional impact, and the movie just made me burst into tears. And because this is a spoiler-filled review, those moments were the Black Widow death scene on Vormir, and that was the one I cried at the second time just because it hit harder the second time around. But the emotional gut punches that were Iron Man wielding the Infinity Gauntlet, saying, "I am Iron Man," snapping every bad guy out of existence, and then dying in the hands of Rhodey, Spider-Man, and Pepper. That fucking crushed me, because I am one of the biggest Iron Man fans ever. My phone lock screen is Iron Man. I basically got into the MCU because of Iron Man. I got into business because of Iron Man. I sculpted a lot of my life around how Iron Man was so cool and charismatic, and people, despite hating him, still loved him, and it was always an emotional tie, and I always kind of felt a strong connection with Iron Man. But fucking hell, man, that entire third act sequence of the battlefield on Earth after Thanos has broken through the time stream, and then you get Hulk and Rhodey and Rocket are drowning, and then Ant-Man comes to save them and that stuff. But you get Iron Man, Captain America, sorry, I'll probably, I don't know if I'll edit them out, I might do, and Thor teaming up for one final stand because they think it's all they have. Thor's got Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, and then Captain America has Mjolnir, and that was a big, like, holy shit moment. the only one that topped that was Iron Man wielding the Infinity Gauntlet to me, because I always had a suspicion that the Age of Ultron was setting it up, but I didn't expect them to do it. I knew that it would. I didn't even expect it when I saw it. I was like, oh, he's got Stormbreaker. He's got Mjolnir back when Thor brings it from the past into the future. And I was like, oh, cool. He's got it back now. He's got two things. Does that mean he's going to get rid of Stormbreaker? No, he just dual wields them and then gets his ass beat still by Thanos. And then Thanos knocks the hammer away. And then not Iron Man, Captain America I don't know if Thor wheels it to Captain America or Captain America wheels it to him, but that moment is pretty sick. It's just the funeral scene as well. Like, this is proper spoilers. This is the end of the movie. I will go back and talk about some of the beginning stuff, but just the emotional ending of that. The funeral scene for Iron Man is just a heart-wrenching. There was one other moment where I bawled my eyes out, which was when Happy and Morgan, Tony Stark's daughter. Yeah, Tony Stark has a daughter in this now. They're on the little bench outside his house, and they're talking about Iron Man, and Happy goes, "Are you hungry?" And she goes, "Yes." And he goes, "What would you like?" And she goes, "Cheeseburgers." And then you just see the realization on Happy's face. And he just goes, "Your father liked cheeseburgers too." And that just crushed me. Because in Iron Man 1, it's just he's in the cave, he goes and gets a cheeseburger. Like, it just hurt. It's such a simple thing, but it hurts so badly in the cinema to watch that moment play out, and you just go, just painful. But yeah, let's go. But that entire fight sequence is just astonishing, because you get so many characters, and then it's just a chase scene through that, and I like what they did with Captain Marvel, because Captain Marvel wasn't underutilized. She was very well used, because she is like very, very powerful. Because I think they show Thanos headbutt Thor, and Thor goes flying, whereas then Captain Marvel gets headbutted by Thanos and doesn't even leave a dent. He has to use the Power Stone to even punch her into the distance. But I'm glad that she was used as she was, because she was used to essentially run as backup rather than the full force, but because she was off on other planets helping other people fix their problems, because Earth has the Avengers, or half of them anyway, and they're left without any sort of defensing or anything like that. So she was used as more of a guard around the world rather than just Earth, because she has to be. She's too powerful to just be on Earth, and it's selfish to just go, she's on Earth forever, no one else needs her. Like, I wonder if that's the direction they're going to go now, is where the Avengers start looking to go to other planets and help other planets. Because I know in the cartoon show, Earth's Mightiest Heroes, I think it was, that they do start to go to other planets and start helping out with them when the time calls for it. And it would just be fun to see that in the future, but I don't know if I can continue to watch these movies without Iron Man being a presence. But Captain America's scene at the end was pretty good, because I knew as soon as he went back in time again to return everything to his place, you kind of went, he's going to stay in the past because of Peggy Carter, and you know that he's got that tie, and he wanted to live, and he has an opportunity now, and the world's safe and doesn't need him anymore. But he still has people who he can count on to take up the mantle if he isn't there anymore. So he gives the shield to Falcon, and I reckon, because I know there's the TV series coming to Disney Plus soon, I reckon it's going to be the adventures of Captain Falcon, or not Captain Falcon, that's another character. I think that's a Nintendo character. But the Captain America as Falcon and Bucky as, like, Bucky still Winter Soldier. But let's... I don't know what the structure to this is. I just want to talk about some of the best scenes in the movie. The Thor reveal is brilliant, because it's just Fat Thor, which you kind of expect, because they kind of hint to it. He drinks a load of alcohol, beer gut and whatnot. And the only real complaint I have is not because I don't like the game. I kind of liked the game when it came out. I kind of dropped on the game a bit as it progressed, because I just couldn't keep up with how much was happening with the game. But their inclusion of Fortnite is a little on the nose. But I didn't hate it. I did enjoy it because of the comedic element to it. It didn't bother me. I know it will probably tick off a lot of people that Fortnite's in the game, because a lot of people have soured on it. I'm still indifferent anymore. I still enjoyed the game. I probably, if I went back to it, I'd still enjoy it. But my issue was that it wasn't really an issue. It was just, it kind of dates the movie, and they're still using PS4s. But then again, I can kind of go, well, they're not, that half the universe was wiped out. Why would they continue to make new tech? Because half of the people who probably know how to build PS4s are dead, or maybe even the entirety of the people who know how to build PS5s and PS6s and whatnot are dead. And new tech, because they're still using older phones, like I think they're using a Google Pixel, maybe a Samsung, I couldn't really tell. I think it was a Google Pixel, and stuff. But yeah, you would think that they'd have newer stuff, but I guess 5 years down the line, people still slowly recovering and still trying to figure how things work. But yeah, it didn't bother me as much as it's bothered a lot of other people in it. I know I've seen a couple people go, the worst thing in the movie. It's not. There's not really one thing that I can pinpoint in that movie that I hated. That scene sticks out because it's not controversial. It's just a lot of people don't like Fortnite, but a lot of people do, so it's how it is, I guess. But yeah, it's good. Scott Lang, Ant-Man, coming back from the quantum realm, was good. I liked the way that it was handled, him just getting randomly pulled back because of a rat. That was kind of funny. But the whole going back into the past, getting the stones from New York and from space, and where was the other ones? It was Asgard. That was all good. I did like Thor's arc. Thor's arc was from the beginning, when it all starts and everyone gets back, and then everyone goes off to space to find Thanos, and then Thor essentially kills Thanos by just chopping his head off and going, I went for the head, which, good callback. Little on the nose, but I liked it. Just how he blames himself for not killing him before he snaps, and it's his fault that it happened, and he lost everything, and he lost half the world. You would become an emotional wreck. I've seen some people complain that it makes light of a serious matter, but I think it was still handled pretty well, because he's a god. He can't really handle failure very well. So I would expect him to revert into a child, essentially. I don't know if it is him reverting, like an unstable person. I don't know if it's childlike, but he wouldn't be able to handle the failure because he's never failed before. Every time he's tried to do something, he's succeeded. And even when he was fighting his sister in Thor Ragnarok, he still managed to outsmart her and beat her by using Surtur to destroy Asgard, because that's the source of her power. I think I need to go back, but yeah, that was his first look at real failure, and he is now, well, is or was the ruler of Asgard. He gave that role to Valkyrie at the end and went to join the Guardians, but that was his first real failure of being a leader and letting down everyone. And then he just kept losing because he lost to Thanos at the beginning of Infinity War. He lost to Thanos at the end of Infinity War. He couldn't bring anyone back because the stones were destroyed, and he felt the weight of everything hit him, and he just couldn't handle it. And I guess he is played for laughs, but those laughs still draw attention to the serious matter. But like, I get people's complaints. I didn't see it until people pointed it out. Maybe I'm ignorant, but I still think it was done well. You can still see the pain, I guess, is my point. He may be used as a laughing point, but the reason why it's even emotionally responsive is because you can feel why he does it. And I guess he has his moments where he gets his moment with his mother, which is not, it's more emotional, and the reason why the laughs happen is because you feel the emotion, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know what people will think about it. If people think, I just saw a couple people online go, that was their big thing about not having like not working for them, and I'm like, well, to each their own. Let's look at my notes. Well, not my notes, the person who ruined it for a lot of people. I was lucky enough not to be one of those people because I saw it at midnight, and then I woke up and that was there. So if I had gone to sleep and not watched it at midnight, I would have probably had this ruined for me, because it was the second thing I scrolled through on Facebook. Granted, I probably wouldn't have been on Facebook if I hadn't seen it, because I think the entirety of the day before the Wednesday, before it came out on Thursday at 12 a.m, I had avoided the internet for most of the day, just because I knew people had seen it. So because of the press release, and a lot of people in other countries, I think Australia saw it earlier, like because of time differences. The going back to the past is another point that I just spotted. How it works, that was kind of cool. Making jokes about time travel, always a fun thing. Scott Lang's "So Back to the Future is bullshit" good joke. And it's Don Cheadle in Hot Tub Time Machine, because I feel like that is something that was referenced as a joke, but I don't know. I wouldn't imagine, because they say it twice, but they cut back to him saying it, so I don't know if it's a reference to him being in it, because I haven't seen Hot Tub Time Machine. I might look it up now, just to answer my questions. But I guess that's a good thing. I haven't even spoken about Hulk. Hulk being, I think Professor Hulk in the comics is what it's called. The fact that he is now Bruce Banner's consciousness in the Hulk's body, the best of both worlds. That is pretty good. I don't know how like Valkyrie said, I don't know if I prefer him as both, like separate beings. But again, it's Sebastian Stan's in a Hot Tub Time Machine. That's interesting. But no Don Cheadle. Okay, no Paul Rudd either. Okay, that clarifies that. Good to know. Good to know. Don't know why they referenced it twice then. Maybe it's just a good funny film. I haven't watched it, but you know, bleh. Back to Hulk. Yeah, I don't know how I feel. I liked Hulk. The Hulk moments were good, funny. He was a little, I don't know. I think when you go to see the Hulk, you go to see him smash stuff and be an uncontrollable monster. That's the appeal. The Bruce Banner bits are the less interesting things, but I think they made it work. He's entertaining for what he is because he's just goofy. He's basically a massive bodybuilder with the brain of a nerd. And for some odd reason, that's funny. And that's always a good thing. I'm not a reviewer, so this is just me prattling on about things that I liked in this movie. And there's no structure to it. There's no written review because I'm not a reviewer. I'm not someone who's studied film for years and had a degree, made it their job. This is me just saying whether or not I liked a movie and talking about it and trying to run off some ideas and things about the future of Marvel. The last 21 films, I want to say. Is this the 22nd? I think this is the 22nd. The idea to even do this movie was incredible because it's just so unbelievable that they managed to stitch this movie together and make it work and coherent. And I know a lot of people have been making memes about the 3-hour runtime, but that movie really needed to even be longer. Scenes could have even been added. I would have enjoyed it. I hope there's a director's cut where it's about 4 hours, because I know people are making memes, but the Lord of the Rings movies are like 4 hours a thing if you have the director's cuts and whatnot, and so are the Hobbits, and people have done this in the past. It's not new to watch them for that long. Like Lord of the Rings, I think the first couple, even without the director's cuts, are still about 3 hours long. So I guess 10 years, 20 years, 18 years. When did the first Lord of the Rings come out? Like 2001? I guess people forget that there was, I guess, a whole entire new generation of kids and people were there. So, yeah. Oh, but God, this movie is good. I don't know how it will stack up in multiple viewings. I know I still cried after the second viewing, so I want to know how many viewings it will take for me to not cry when I see Iron Man wield the gauntlet and his death scene. It would... just thinking about it makes me emotional. But I would like to see... just how many times it takes for that movie to still emotionally gut punch me. I might give it... I'm gonna give it a couple days before I go see it again for the third time, just to see how emotional it is after a couple... how I feel about it after a couple days, just sitting on it, just sitting here, not having any real emotional tie to it for a couple days, and then going back in knowing what's going to happen, because I went and saw it within less than 24 hours of it releasing again. So I was probably still a bit emotional from the first time, so I'd like to see what it's like after about a week, or maybe a bit of another couple days, just to give it some breathing room, see how it stacks up, see how the 3-hour runtime, knowing what happens without the emotional weight of it again, stacks on. Because again, 3 hours is a long time, and it doesn't feel slow. The beginning's a bit slow, but it's character building. It's not meant to be fast paced. It's meant to give you room to breathe, and then you get the emotional run of everything. Let's have a look at my notes just to give me some talking points. The return of everyone? Let's go back to the return of everyone. I haven't spoken about the beginning much. I will. But the return of everyone, where they get the Hulk. Oh yeah, they get the Hulk to use the Infinity Gauntlet to snap everyone back into existence. To then Thanos bursts through the time thing, because Nebula is. I liked how they handled Nebula, because they got Nebula to be because of how the time thing works. Nebula's memories got shared between the two Nebulas, one from the future, one from the past, and that's how Thanos figures out that he wins, and then decides to kill everyone and recreate the universe without anyone who knows about the destruction of the past universe. So that was... I liked how that worked, because if you have... Because I don't think it would work to any other character, because a robot would have memory files, but the memory files could potentially be linked through time distortion, and that worked for me. I liked how it was handled. I liked the fact that you can still see Gamora is morally questioning her father, and how he isn't good, but she still has to pretend that he's good, and you can tell that she's still on the cusp of figuring out whether or not she's gonna fully betray him, because she didn't think he would ever find the stones, but then he found the stone and whatnot. Let's have a look. So, what we got here? Going back to 2012 to retrieve the scepter, the Tesseract, and the Time Stone. I liked how they brought back the Ancient One to basically deny access to the Time Stone, and then just give it freely after realizing that Doctor Strange had a plan in motion after all of the arguing and disruption of time, and if they bring back the Time Stones to the point straight after to stop the disruption of the time stream, where I guess the forces of ancient evil and mystical arts could attack, and the whole sequence of them trying to retrieve the scepter, and Captain America getting in the elevator like Winter Soldier, and you expect there to be a massive fight to get the scepter back, and then they just go, "Hail Hydra," which is a nice nod to the comics that recently, I don't know if it recently came out, but a couple years ago they brought out the Captain America becomes a Nazi in the comics, and I like that little nod. I don't know if that is a nod, but I like the fact that they even put it in, and it's just like they look so confused, but they're like, why would he say Hail Hydra? He doesn't know we're Hydra, but he must know we're Hydra. And he just walks away and the little smirk on his face. And I like that they brought back even more people, because they brought back what's his name? The dude from Winter Soldier who's the big bad guy. That dude who's the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the person above Nick Fury, I guess. He's back. He gets his moment. I like that. But the scene behind the scenes of the Avengers, first one, gives you a little nice perspective change, because you just get this levity to the scenes, and you get to see Loki do his. I get why. I know why they did the Captain America thing again, because when you get the Captain America versus Captain America fight, you know that Steve knows that Loki can shapeshift into him, so he would assume that Loki is running away because Loki gets away because the Hulk hits Iron Man in the face with a door because he has to go down the stairs, which is funny. And it's structurally so good. I'm just gushing about this movie for about 30 minutes now, and oh my god, it feels so good. It's just impressive. The whole bringing back everyone was nice, but I liked all the tie-ins to the other movies as well. It's just I've seen a lot of people. Well, I've seen reviewers who are big. Well, maybe not even big. I don't know. I don't know how reviewing. I don't look at reviews most of the time. I just watch some videos where they put a couple of the reviews in and stuff. And I know that I haven't even looked at the Rotten Tomato score yet. Even though I don't really look at Rotten Tomato, because everyone forgets how that website works, because it's a review collection. It's not an actual score of how good the movie is artistically. It's how many people would recommend it. So if you look at the score, it's not the actual grade of the movie. It's not a 98% movie of how good it is. It's how many people would recommend it to someone, essentially. That's how the Rotten Tomatoes website actually works. People think it's an actual scale to how good the movie is, where it's just actually how many people enjoyed it and how many people would recommend it to someone else to watch. And so you can still think the movie is good, and it could be such a high level for you, but only 30% of people would agree with that, or something like that. So I don't tend to look at Rotten Tomatoes score as the definitive to whether or not a good movie is good, because a lot of the movies I like have low Rotten Tomatoes scores, but then a lot of them have high Rotten Tomatoes scores, and then a lot of them have medium Rotten Tomatoes scores. It's personal taste. If you want to see a movie, go see a movie. If you like a movie, like a movie. The Rotten Tomatoes score means nothing. It's just a slight indication to whether or not you, being a majority of people, would like it. If you consider yourself in the minority, then you're probably not going to like it. If you consider yourself in the majority, then you might like it. You never know. Just watch the movie if you want to watch the movie. Don't use Rotten Tomatoes as a scale for whether or not to see a movie. Find actual people whose views you actually agree with, and then listen to their opinion on the movie. And if they say it's bad and you've agreed with them a lot of the time, then maybe avoid it. But I'd still say watch it just to clarify for yourself. I never tend to watch a movie that I've seen a review for and immediately agreed with the person who said the review, because a lot of the time personal opinion gets swayed because of other people. So I like to see a movie without the whole opinions of the world stitched into my thoughts, because I like to have my own view. So I don't have a problem with other people disagreeing. I don't have a problem with people agreeing with it. It's just my view. If you don't like it, then that's fine. Enjoy the movie. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If you hate the movie, then boom. I'm happy for it. I don't really mind it. I'm upset that I didn't have the same experience as you. It's quite sad to not love a movie. I don't go into movies trying to hate on them. I went into Batman v Superman with the utmost trying to be positive about it, despite me not even liking the trailers, which a lot of people did. A lot of people liked the trailers to Batman v Superman and Suicide Squad, and I went into both of them hating the trailers, and I was like, I want to like these movies. I hope these movies are good. I don't go into them trying to hate them. I don't think I ever watched any of the Alita Battle Angel trailers, so I just went in completely blind, and I hated that movie. With such a passion. It is the worst movie I've ever seen, and I will one day do a video on that, but it will require me to watch Alita Battle Angel again, which, oh god, I don't want to go through that. It will be a painful experience to watch that movie again. I don't know, maybe I'll have simmered on it a bit, but enough of that. But yeah, I don't personally go into movies wanting to hate them. I go into a movie hoping that if I've been displeased by the trailer, that the movie will do a good job of turning me around on it. I don't go, this movie looks bad, therefore it's going to be bad. I go, okay, the marketing's not great, let's hope the movie's better than what the marketing shows, because sometimes the marketing shows you nothing and it's an incredible movie. Sometimes the marketing shows you the best bits of the movie and the movie's alright because of it. You can't go into a movie. A movie's meant to sell you on the trailer, so if the movie fails to sell you based on the trailer, then it's not the movie's fault, it's the trailer's fault. It's not the movie's fault that the trailer didn't sell you on the movie. It's did I say? I don't know what I said. Whatever. Back to Avengers. Because I wanted to talk about how the movie wraps up in terms of the last movie, Infinity War. It's just, I don't know whether or not, because I watched Infinity War, I think 2 days before I went and saw Endgame, and I think, I don't know whether or not to consider Infinity War and Endgame as just one 5.5 hour long movie, because they're not tied together, but they're so connect. It's a weird one because they're connected, but they're not connected, because they both, without the first one, the second one doesn't exist. So they're tied together because of that. And I don't know whether or not to consider them as just one movie that's a epic long arc, because essentially, if you did it in a structural standpoint, you get the beginning, which is the whole build up to Infinity War, and then you get the middle bit, which is the hero's defeat, and then you get the end bit, which is the hero's resurrection of being power. So if you do it via acts, like a first act, second act, and third act, you get even more acts in between. So it's a weird one to consider. I did think, going back to Infinity War, I enjoyed it still. I liked it. I still like that movie. That movie is still good. That's still one of my high-tier Marvel movies. And Endgame, I think, elevates it even higher. And I think Infinity War elevates Endgame even higher. I don't think you can talk about Endgame without talking about Infinity War. So I think I would consider them just one movie, even though they're split to two. But I would consider them, because they were originally Infinity War Part 1 and Part 2. So I would still consider it Infinity Endgame, or Infinity War Endgame, to some extent, just based on the fact that you would almost consider Infinity War the first half, because it doesn't end like a conventional movie where the hero's on top. It ends where the villain is on top and has completed his goal. I think the only other movies that you can really consider that have done that are like the Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, if I'm remembering correctly, because it's New Hope, Revenge of the Sith, and Return of the Jedi. I'm hoping Star Wars fans don't get mad at me. I'm not as okay with those movies as you are. But fucking hell, Tony's when they fail to get the Space Stone, and have to go back to the 1970s, I think it said on the screen, to get it, because it's in the past, and there's Pym particles in the past as well, because they need Pym particles, and they only have a certain amount because Hank Pym got dusted in the present, and they don't have anyone who can make Pym particles, so they need the Pym particles from the past, because they only had one chance to go back down and then come back up. So if they used their Pym particles to go to the past, they'd need Pym particles to get back. So there was only one option where they'd be in the same location, Pym particles and the Space Stone. So they have to go, and then Tony runs into his father, and Captain America doesn't run into Peggy Carter, which I think they intentionally did because of the ending, that they knew Captain America wouldn't talk to her in the past and would have to would decide to go back when he does it and live the life that he wanted so badly with the love of his life. But Tony Stark's reunitedness with his father was a nice scene, because he never got to say goodbye to his father. He never realized how important his father was to him until recently, and it was just an emotional moment, because he got to say goodbye. He had that moment with his father that he never had, and it was just a nice thing, because you saw how much it meant to him in that moment. But yeah, I think I don't know if there's many other talking points. I'm just gonna have a look through my notes. I think I've already talked about a lot of it. I've talked about Captain Marvel. I've talked about Hawkeye's family. Hawkeye's pretty good in this movie. I've always liked Hawkeye. I never hated on him as much as other people have. I know he's the butt of a lot of jokes. I've always considered him just the human element to the Avengers, the thing that grounds them to the people that they're trying to protect. So I've never hated on him. I think he's not you could get rid of him and he wouldn't be there, but the Avengers would lose that human side to them, because Tony Stark is a narcissistic billionaire who is just all personality, he cares about people, but he loses that connection with them because of how he is. Steve Rogers is a man out of time, so he's that. Black Widow is a murderous assassin who is trying to become what Clint is, which is another thing that I thought was good. the role reversal. Natasha becomes what Clint was in the beginning of the Avengers, and because Hawkeye's family gets dusted, he becomes, I think, Ronan, and so he becomes the dark, unfeeling assassin that Natasha was, or had been, and they both see themselves in each other, which is a nice thing. There's a thing. The Captain Marvel. The only thing I didn't really like about her is her haircut. It's alright. It's not bad. I don't know whether or not I loved it, but I prefer her with long hair. I don't know why. It just looks a little bit better. But the moment where Peter Parker has the Infinity Gauntlet, or the Iron Man Infinity Gauntlet, and Captain Marvel drops down, and then you get the big wide shot of all the other female heroes, all battling. Oh fuck! I forgot about Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch's fight with Thanos is badass, cause she's so powerful, and Thanos is, because it's the past in the present. Thanos doesn't even know who she is, so it's just good. And all of the I think it's a little on the nose, but I didn't hate it. I'm sure there's going to be many men who don't think it's so good, and then even though you get the same exact shot with the men, it's just a weird thing that I don't get it. I'm not going to get into it because it's such a heated topic, and I don't have a problem with it. Oh god, I'm tired. Anywho, I think it's more enough me being done. I think I don't have much more to say. I might have more in the future. I would like to hear everyone else's thoughts. I'd like to know what everyone else thought was good, thought was bad, hated, loved. I will go back to a regular schedule next week. Well, I say regular schedule. I don't have a regular schedule. It will probably still be me talking about Endgame. There's just not a lot of other movies. I don't know whether I'll be back to work, so that will be interesting. I might have some stories from work, maybe more stories about old men penises in locker rooms. Who knows? If you watch the first episode, you'll get that. I will probably have some more news. We'll see what comes out now that Endgame's out. I think a lot of news or companies are going to start pushing their movies. I know that there's a new Men in Black trailer that I have to watch, and there will probably be some more tech news, more social like commentary stuff coming out in the near future. I imagine next week will be sort of a slow week for news, but there will still be a lot of stuff coming out, I imagine. I know Days Gone has just come out on PlayStation 4. I don't know if I'm going to get it straight away. It looks good, but I don't have a lot of free time at the moment, and I still need to complete a lot of other games on PlayStation, and I don't know. But I think I might start talking about some PS5 news, because I think this week, they were discussing some of the tech specs of the PlayStation 5 and the future of the console. And I would like to talk about that, but I think this is going on for long enough. It's almost been 50 minutes of me just praising Marvel. I don't think you can review this movie as a normal movie, because it's not. I don't think you can I know people want to review movies as a standalone and hope that the movie stays together as a standalone movie. I think this movie does, but you'll have no idea. You can still imply from context what this movie is. I don't know if you can watch this without having watched any other Marvel movies. I don't think that's a bad thing, though. I don't think this review of it can't stand alone is a bad thing. I know movies are supposed to be art, and you have to be... it's meant to wrap up, and it's meant to stand alone, and you shouldn't have to go and look at other stuff. It shouldn't be, oh, I've watched this movie and I now have to go and look at all of these other movies, or I have to go and read this visual novel, or I have to go and play this video game. But I think art can evolve. I don't think art is now just what you see. I think it's what you experience. It's world building. It's like a TV series. The movies are like TV. You go and watch them for the characters and the little bits in between. If you miss an episode, sometimes I think what I mean is, when movies have always been just TV shows, but longer. And there are standalone episodes where like in the early days, TV used to be, or had been, just one episode was a self-contained story. Nothing really ever affected the next week. And then you got sitcoms where standalone, but they still tied in to the previous episodes. You still got those little tie-ins. And I think movies are now just evolving into that, where if you miss an episode of a TV show, you miss a lot of the backstory and the build-up, and I don't know why people consider that a bad thing. It's more or less just an entertainment value. You get to emotionally tie in. Ooh, it's raining outside. You get to experience more, and yes, it would be nice to have a self-contained story that you can wrap up and watch, and but they're still doing that. There's still movies like that. Like Atomic Blonde is that. John Wick was that, and then John Wick 2. I haven't seen it, but I need to, because the third one's coming out soon, and I want to watch that, so I need to watch John Wick 2 to probably have any clue of what's going on, because apparently it all takes place within a week. Apparently, I don't know. I watched the first one, and that was about it. I enjoyed it, but I think I liked Atomic Blonde more. But like I said, the whole people complain that you can't watch Endgame without having seen the others, and that makes it any less of a movie. No, I don't agree with that. It makes it just a different experience. You don't want the same experience from a movie. You don't want to have to go into a movie and watch it and then it finish and that be it. You can. One of my favorite movies of last year was that. It was the Bad Times at the El Royale. That is a self-contained movie. That has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it wraps up, and I wouldn't change it for anything. I don't want there to be a second one. Maybe if they did it as a different set of characters and made it new, that would be fine. But this Marvel DC world building movie universe, I think still works. You can skip some movies, you can watch movies. They do a good enough job of telling you who everyone is, what their power sets are, what their character is like, from just context. And if you don't know who it is, you might be even more inclined to go back and watch the previous movies. But if you, I've seen a lot of people say it's fan servicey. Yeah, it's fucking 11 years worth of world building. Of course they're going to have fan service. You don't want to alienate your fans. You want to give them what they want. Sometimes fans don't know what they want, but giving them the little pieces of speculation that they've had in their head, if it works for the story, yeah, fucking give it to them. Like, Captain America picking up Mjolnir is fucking amazing. It works because they built the character. They planted the seed in Age of Ultron. You have Thor be impressed and always knew in deep down that he was worthy. And it's nice. It's a character arc. It's a character build. You can't say that, oh, it's bad because it's not self-contained. It is, but it can't be. It's a different structure. You can't review it as a singular movie. You stack it up against previous ones. But whether or not that movie is bad also doesn't affect the other ones. And if it does, then you compare it to the others. You can't review a Marvel movie without seeing what it does to the past. And yes, that's not always a good thing, because you can get people who take it as, oh, because this movie is bad, the whole MCU is bad. Nah, it's just a slight misstep. And because the world building is so good, they can course correct it. They can change things. Like, oh, Spider-Man Homecoming has said 8 years in the past. Well, it was maybe a different time scale, or we can sort of correct things. It's not always a bad thing for an interconnected world. And for the people who care, it's quite a lot of people. Otherwise, these movies would not make as much money as they did. You get people who go and see just the Avengers movies because they're the big blockbusters and they make the big money, and everyone's been going on about how the Marvel Cinematic Universe is so good, but they haven't watched the movies. But it also gives people who have watched the movies a chance to talk about the movies to the people who haven't seen the movies and give them their little bit of backstory. So I don't see it as a bad thing for people to, having not watched the previous movies between Age of Ultron and Infinity War, and then not watching the movies in between Infinity War and Captain Marvel, not Captain Marvel, Infinity War and Endgame. There are certain movies that you need to watch, but there are certain movies that you don't need to watch. There have been countless videos I've seen of people saying what movies you need to watch before you see Endgame. And for me, I would say you need to have watched Iron Man. You would need to have watched the first Avengers. You'd probably want to watch the first Captain America. You'd want to watch at least the Age of Ultron, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, for Ragnarok. I would say maybe even the first four. And a couple. I would say you'd have to watch a lot of them. You can probably watch Ant-Man as well, just to get used to the character. Maybe not the second Iron Man, maybe not the... I would say watch the third Iron Man, because it gives you a context as to why Tony Stark is so abundantly set on having a suit of armor around the world in the Age of Ultron. You'd want to watch Civil War. You'd want to watch... I would say Winter Soldier as well, just because it's one of the good ones. But there's a lot that I haven't mentioned. But I would say if you're a fan and you like the movies, give the other ones a watch. If you don't like them, does that devalue the other ones? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it does. Who knows? It's all personal preference. And on that note, I think I'm going to wrap up here. It's been about an hour, and I hope people have enjoyed. I hope people in the comment sections and everything tell me how they feel. I'm basically going to warn people now that the comment section is going to be filled with spoilers. I should probably do this at the beginning as well, but I won't. But I gave them a warning at the beginning anyway. Yeah, so please post as many spoilers as you like in the comment sections. Please give me your interpretation of the movie. It's been a day since it came out in the UK, and well, it came out in America today, I think, on the 26th. So I hope Americans have enjoyed it. I hope the UK people have enjoyed it. I hope the Australians have enjoyed it. I hope every other country who's gotten it within the week enjoys it. If you don't, please tell me why, and I might try and convince you. I might give you some reasons as to why it's good. You might disagree. I might agree with some of your points, but I still think overall this is the perfect way to wrap up the MCU. Three phases is the right word. The Infinity Saga, as I think they've coined it. It's the nice wrap up to it, and I want to see more. I want to see what they do in the future. I want to see what happens in Spider-Man Far From Home. I want to see how they continue without some of their big hitters. I want to see Guardians of the Galaxy 3 with 4 in it, and I want to see what happens with Black Panther. I want to see what happens with these characters because they're so good, and it's just impressive how they can continue to make movies that are good and consistently and get better with each reviewing of the previous movies. It's nice that they can continue to build a world that is so consistent, has a few little minor missteps, but you don't care, because my viewpoint is it's not how the movie makes you feel after, it's how the movie makes you feel during the movie. If the movie pisses you off during it, then it's not a good movie. If the movie keeps you entertained, keeps you emotionally invested, gives you tears in your eyes, or even at points where it's meant to, it's a good movie. It doesn't matter if it's not a supposedly well-structured good movie and if other people don't like it, if it gives you the feeling of what the movie is trying to do, or even if you enjoy it, then enjoy it. It's a good movie to you. Don't let other people say it's not. People can give you a reason as to why, and you can agree, but I always say go with what you felt in the movie theater rather than what people tell you to feel, because no one knows what you prefer than you. You can't go, oh, this person said they didn't like it, so I won't like it. No. I've disagreed with things that my best friends loved for ages, and I would consider him to be very similar to me, and I don't like a lot of the things he likes, and he doesn't like a lot of the things I like. But we both understand that you go, yeah, you like it for these reasons, I like it for this reason. It doesn't devalue anything for the other person. We both just enjoy what we enjoy, and we enjoy talking about it to the person, even if they don't care. Even if they hate that thing, we will still talk to each other about it because we both know, yeah, it's important to them. So I wouldn't say devalue anyone's opinion. If they like it, by God, let them talk about why they love it, and maybe they'll convince you why they love it. And if they hate it with such a passion, and you love it with such a passion, by all means, try and defend the movie. But if they don't change their mind, don't get hurt about it. Their opinion doesn't change yours. And your feelings are yours. They don't need to be beaten to death by someone else's negativity or even in optimism. It's everyone is so dead set on having their opinion be right that they forget that it's not about being right, it's about how you feel. You don't need to be right to enjoy something. You just need to enjoy it. That's the whole point of enjoying things. There are certain elements, I'm not going to get into them, but there are certain things where people can be wrong and they shouldn't be right, but it's what it is. But yep, okay, I've been prattling on for about another couple minutes now and I need to wrap this up, so I hope everyone enjoyed this episode of Thoughts, Feelings and Emotions, and feel free to watch the next one. I will see you next week. Peace out.